Hi and welcome to Priori Digital Studio tutorial. In this video, I will show you how to set up and use your rental property tracker spreadsheet in the most efficient way. In this video, I am using Google Sheets, but the Excel version is exactly the same. First thing, we protect most of the cells where there are formulas to make sure that you don't erase any important formulas that could impact the spreadsheet. So if you see this message, it means you are not supposed to touch it. But don't worry, I'll show you step by step how to prepare your spreadsheet. In this situation, simply click on the X and you will be fine. Moreover, we established the color code to show you which cell can be edited and which one cannot. So basically, you only can edit the cells that have a white background. Another small warning, please don't move a cell from one place to another. If you do move a cell, it could generate an issue by messing up the automation of the spreadsheet. The best way to avoid these errors is to copy and paste your data. So now let's have a look at the Setup tab. The Setup tab is where you'll enter all the essential information needed for the spreadsheet. At the top, you'll find 5 buttons that let you quickly jump between sections, or you can simply scroll down. So step 1, currency setting. Enter your currency symbol and the spreadsheet will automatically adapt to global currencies. So you simply have to type it in. Step 2, the property types. List the types of properties you manage, example apartment, a house, a cottage, things like this. This will allow you to track statistics later. If you only manage one type of property, you can simply enter just one. Step 3, the property details. So enter the name of each property or use the address if you don't have a specific name. Specify the number of units per property, even if it is only one. Then assign a property type using the drop-down menu. Then the step 4 is the income and expense categories. List all the income and expense categories you need. You have up to 50 for each. You can always add more later if necessary. If you don't see rows 25 to 50, simply click on the plus button to expand. So when you click on the plus button, you will have this message. Simply click on OK. That's the only time where you can click. So as you can see here, we extended the rows so that you have 50 income and 50 expense categories. Then if there's too many rows for you and you want to hide them, simply click on the minus sign on OK. And as you can see, it shrinks. So step 5 is the payment methods. So you can define the payment methods tenant can use, for example, cash, bank transfer, credit cards, and so on. If you accept multiple methods, simply list them all here. If you accept only one method, simply write the method that you're using. So now let's have a look at the Lease Tracker tab. The Lease Tracker tab helps you log all essential lease and tenant information. So in the first section, the property and unit details, select the property from the drop-down menu. The property type will automatically fill in based on the Setup tab. Then enter the unit number and address. Then in the second section, the tenant information, enter the tenant's name, phone number, and email address. This information will later be used in the Tenant Ledger tab. So as you can see in the tenant information, there's also a current tenant checkbox. Check this box if the tenant is currently occupying the unit. Uncheck it when they move out. This will automate certain parts of the spreadsheet. Then, in the third section, the lease details, enter the lease start and end dates. The lease length will be calculated automatically. Then input the monthly rent amount and any deposit collected. There's also a checkbox there, the recurring monthly rent checkbox. So if the rent is recurring, checking this box will automate the income tracking in the income section covered later in this video. So finally, there's a note section where you can add any additional details. Be careful, this tab is not protected to allow you to filter if needed. So we can take an example together. As you can see at the top of each column, there's a small inverted triangle. That's where you can filter your data. So let's say that you want to filter by a specific property. Let's select anyone. And then as you can see here, we filtered the information from Downtown Heights. If you want to remove this filter so that you can see all the information, you can first click on the clear and then select all. This will select all the information and then click on OK. As you can see, all your information reappears. So on an important note, there's two different features within Google Sheet and Excel. So if you want to enter a date in Google Sheet, you can simply double click and you will see a small calendar appear. And then you can simply click on the date that you want to. However, this feature is not available on Excel. This is not something we have control over. This is simply a feature of Excel. So if you're using our template in the Excel version, you will simply have to type in the date. Now let's take a look at the Income tab. The Income tab serves as a transaction tracker and is one of the key components of this spreadsheet, alongside the Expense tab. This tab is designed to be intuitive, so use the drop-down menu to select your property. The type is automated. Then select the unit and tenant, also from drop-down menus. Choose the income category and enter the due date for rent. Input the rent amount. If the tenant has a recurring rent set in the previous tab, the amount will autofill, but you can also override it if needed. If you have some additional income, you can enter it in the respective column. Then the total due is automated. Then once all this information is logged, you can also log the payment date and the amount paid by the tenant. The outstanding balance, payment status, and delay column are automated. These will indicate whether the tenant paid the correct amount, overpaid, or underpaid, as well as whether the payment was late. Select the payment method from the drop-down menu. We, of course, also provided some space for note if needed. Again, the same thing as the previous tab. Be careful, this tab is not protected to allow you to apply filters if needed. So it's the same way. You can simply select the data that you want to see. For example, downtown height. Here as well, we can see all this information from this specific property. Then you can remove the filter by selecting all and then click on OK. So let's do an example together and log in some information in this spreadsheet. So we can use the drop-down menu and select downtown height. As you can see, the property type is automated. Then we can also select the unit. We can select the tenant name. As you can see, this spreadsheet knows which tenant lives in which units as well as in which property to help you. And then we can select the category. You enter a rent due date, enter the rent amount. This tenant is not a recurring tenant, meaning that we did not check the checkbox in the previous tab, so that we need to enter the information by hand. Simply type in the number. We can type in any other income if needed. Then we can use the small calendar to enter the payment dates and then the amount paid. Simply type in the information. So as you can see here, the payment, the amount paid as well as the due amount is exactly the same. So the outstanding balance is 0 and the payment status is paid. However, this tenant has 8 days of delays. Then we only have the leftovers to enter the payment method. So as you can see here, entering all your income is very simple. Now let's take a look at the Expense tab. The Expense tab works similarly to the Income tab, so make sure to enter your information in the correct section. Like the Income tab, it serves as a transaction tracker and is a key part of this spreadsheet. So here's how to log an expense. First, enter the date of the expense. Then select the property for which the expense was made. The type is automated. If you have a multi-residential building and the expense applies to the entire building, check the designed checkbox. Otherwise, leave it unchecked and select the specific unit from the drop-down menu. This step is crucial for accurate bookkeeping. So let's take an example together. Let's say that you have a multi-residential building and that you put some expenses to redo the roof, meaning that the roof is useful for all units in your multi-residential building, right? So every time you have an expense for the roof, you need to check this checkbox because it covers all the units within the same building. So let's take another example. Within your multi-residential building, let's say the unit at Lakeside Retreat 3963, the sink is leaking. And this problem is only in this unit, and then you need to do some expense to repair the sink. Then, because this expense is specific to this specific unit, you do not need to check the checkbox. Then simply choose the expense category from the drop-down menu. Categories were defined in the Setup tab. Enter the amount and any additional fees if applicable. The total will be calculated automatically. Optionally, you can add notes or a description for better tracking. Be careful, this tab is also not protected to allow you to apply filter if needed. Now let's have a look at the Mileage tab. The Mileage tab helps you track your travel expenses accurately. So in the first step, set up the mileage rates. At the top of the tab, you'll find a green setup table where you can choose your preferred unit, so kilometers or miles, and add up to 5 different mileage rates. So for example, if your bookkeeping starts in 2024 and the mileage rate was 65 cents per miles, simply enter the rate, as you can see here. So type in the numbers. Then you can enter the start date from the beginning of the year, January 1st, to the end of the year, December 31st. If the rate changes in 2025, you can add a new rate for that year without affecting your previous records. So let's say in 2025, the rate changes from 65 cents to 75 cents. So as you can see here, we typed in the number for this new rate as well as entered the new dates for 2025. We also added some warnings and error messages to help you properly enter your data. 2 types of warning may appear. So the first one is the inverted start and end date. So if the end date is before the start date, a warning message will appear and the affected dates will be highlighted in yellow. Then we have the overlapping date ranges. If 2 date ranges overlapped, a warning message will pop up and the affected date will be marked in red. If you see these warnings, you'll need to correct the dates to ensure accurate bookkeeping. Once your rate is set up, you can simply hide this section by clicking on the little minus sign here, and as you can see, it's hidden. This way, you'll be easily able to log your data the whole year. So the second step is to log your mileage. So once the setup is completed, you can start tracking your mileage in the log below. So the first thing is to enter the date of your trip, then enter the distance traveled in kilometers or miles. The amount will auto-calculate it based on the mileage rate and date. Then select the property the transaction is associated with, and then optionally add a description or notes for reference. Be careful with this tab as well because you can also filter all your data. You also have a total mileage and total amount at the top of the tab. So now let's take a look at the Tenant Ledger tab. This tab is designed to help you track your tenants' payment history and keep an overview of their payment status at a glance. Most of the information in this tab is automated and you'll only need to enter data in the orange section. First, you can use the checkbox to filter for current tenant only. If you want to view past tenants, simply leave the box unchecked. Then select the property from the drop-down menu, followed by the unit and the tenant's name. Once you've made these selections, the spreadsheet will automatically populate with all the relevant information for that specific tenant. In the upper section of the tab, you'll see the tenant's contact details like email and phone number, as well as lease information, including the lease length, start date, and date. You'll also find financial details such as the rent amount, the amount due, and whether any payments are outstanding. In the table below, you'll find a comprehensive payment history for that specific tenant. This will show if they've paid on time, how much they've paid, and if any payments were late or missed. This tab can be very useful when you need to quickly check payment history or address any issues with the tenant's payment status. So as you can see here in this example, this tenant was late. So that's the example that we used in the income tab. And this tenant was late by 8 days. So as you can see here in the tab above, it's in yellow, meaning that the tenant always pays the correct amount, but has a history of delayed payments. So let's go back to the income tab and change the payment date to the date where the tenant is supposed to pay. So as you can see here in the payment status, it's paid and the delayed is 0. And the table above is now green, saying that the tenant always paid on time and the correct amount. So we use color coded to help you see and visualize the information of your tenants. So now let's take another example with a tenant with a lot of history. So let's find our tenant called Alexander. As you can see here, this tenant has a full history. Some payments are partially paid, some are overpaid, and also has some delays. So we calculated everything for you, and we also gave you a color signification. So as you can see here, at the top of the tab, it's red, and the tenant currently has an outstanding balance of $435. So this tab is very important for you to quickly see if you have any issues with your tenants. So now let's have a look at the property dashboard. The property dashboard provides a clear overview of your income, expenses, profit, and overall bookkeeping data for each property. So almost everything in this tab is automated, requiring minimal manual input. The only data you need to enter is the start and end date. So define the period you want to analyze, for example, a full year or a single month or even a custom range. Then at the top of the page, you'll find 4 essential financial indicators: the total income, the total expenses, profit or loss, as well as profit margin. Then right below, you will see a graph breaking down, displaying your income, expenses, and profit for each property. Then right beneath this graph, you have 2 detailed tables. The left table is the property specific data, including some income, expenses, profit margin for each property in your portfolio. Then the right table is the payment overview, showing you the money due, the money collected, outstanding balances, as well as payment status. Then on the left side, you have 3 charts. So you have your profit margin chart. So here you see 77%. And then right below, you have your income breakdown as well as expense breakdown. So these pie charts on the far left provide a visual summary of your financial distribution. Scrolling down, you'll find a summary of top performing properties highlighting. So you have your top property by income, your top property by profit, and the property with the highest expenses. This dashboard offers a comprehensive snapshot of your rental portfolio, helping you track financial health and optimize your management. So now let's have a look at the unit dashboard. The unit dashboard functions similarly to the property dashboard, but it focuses on tracking the financial performance of each individual unit rather than the entire building. Everything in this tab is automated, so the only thing you need to do is to enter the start and end date for the period that you want to analyze. At the top of the page, just like the previous tab, you'll find 4 key financial metrics: the total income, total expense, profit or loss, and profit margin. Below that, the dashboard presents a detailed breakdown of each unit's income and expense, along with the payment overview that displays the amount due, collected, outstanding balance, and payment statuses. Scrolling further, you'll find a summary of your top performing units. This section highlights which unit generated the highest income, have the highest profit, and incur the most expenses. So just like the previous tab, with this dashboard, you can easily assess the financial health of each unit, helping you make better management decisions. So now let's have a look at the monthly tab. The monthly dashboard tab provides a different perspective on your financial data by categorizing it by income and expense types rather than by unit or property. This allows you to analyze your financial performance on a broader scale. The first step in using this tab is selecting the year and the month that you want to review. Simply type in the year and use the drop-down menu to choose the specific month. You can then decide whether to view data for all your properties collectively or isolate a specific property or unit using the drop-down menu in the orange section. Once this is set up, everything in this tab is automatically populated. At the top, you will see 3 key financial metrics: the total income, total expense, and profit or loss. Below that, your income is displayed by category based on the classifications you defined in the Setup tab. Next to it, you'll find a similar breakdown for expenses. On the left-hand side, the dashboard presents your profit margin along with two pie charts that visually represents your income and expense distribution. This tab gives you a comprehensive overview of your business financial performance for the selected month, helping you track trends and make informed decisions. So this dashboard gives you a lot of flexibility on the data that you want to display. So here in the orange section, we selected all, meaning that you see all your property and all the units from your portfolio. So as you can see here, right beneath all, there's a gray cell, meaning that you cannot enter any units. But I will cover this in a few seconds. So let's say that you want to select one specific property. So let's select this one. The data provided here are for the whole property. Then let's say that you want to select one specific unit within this property. Then you can simply select the one that you want. And as you can see here, the data also changed for this specific property. So now let's take a look at the Annual Dashboard tab. The Annual Dashboard tab provides a year-long overview of your financial data, offering a more detailed perspective compared to the monthly dashboard. The only editable fields in this tab are the start year, start month, and the property and unit section. This tab displays your financial data over a 12-month period, giving you a clearer picture of your income, expenses, and overall profitability throughout the year. At the top, you will find three key financial metrics: the total income, total expense, and profit. Clicking on these titles will take you to their corresponding section within the tab. In the first section, you'll see your profit margin, a graph illustrating your monthly profit trends over 12 months, and a detailed graph combining income, expenses, and profit in one visualization. Below that, a summary table presents a month-by-month breakdown of your income and expenses. The next section focuses on income, displaying a detailed table with all income categories and their corresponding amounts per month. Additionally, there's a pie chart showing the income distribution and another chart showing monthly income trends. If you scroll further down, you'll find the same layout but for expenses, allowing you to analyze where your money is going throughout the year. If certain rows between 25 and 50 are hidden, you can click the plus button to reveal them. So as you can see here, you have even more space for all your data. One of the most valuable features of this tab is the cash flow summary at the bottom of the page. This section provides a complete financial overview by summarizing your income and all expenses, including mileage, to give you a clear picture of your net profit for the year. So now let's take a look at the 5 years dashboard tab. The 5-year dashboard tab is very similar to the annual dashboard with the same features and layout. The only editable fields are the starting year and month, as well as the property and unit selection. This tab provides a complete view of your data over a 5-year period, breaking down the information year by year. It offers a clear and long-term perspective of your financial performance, allowing you to track trends and assess your property financial health over the years. So now let's take a look at the custom dashboard tab. This tab is very similar to the monthly dashboard in terms of features and layout. With a key difference, it allows you to customize the date range for viewing your property performance. Like the other tabs, the editable fields include the start and end dates, as well as the property and unit selection. To adjust the date range, simply double-click on the date field, select your desired start date, and then choose the end date for the period you want to analyze. If the dates are entered in the wrong order, a warning will appear to alert you. This flexibility allows you to examine performance over any time frame, whether it's a few weeks or for several months. So now let's take a look at the comparison dashboard tab. This tab is very similar to the monthly dashboard in terms of features and layout. With one key difference, it allows you to compare the performance of up to 3 properties. So as in other tabs, the only editable fields are the start date and end date, as well as the comparison table. The unique feature of this tab is that you can select up to 3 properties and units, which will allow you to compare their performance side by side. simply use the drop-down menu to choose your first, second, and third property. So we gave you a lot of flexibility again with this tab. So as you can see here in the 3 section comparison 1 to 3, you can select either the property or the property as well as the unit. So for example, you could compare a whole building to one specific unit within another building, for example. So this tab is particularly useful when you want to compare the performance of 2 or 3 properties. At the top, you will see a summary of each property's performance, including income, expenses, profit, and profit margin. Below that, you'll find a comparison of the profit margin for all the selected properties, as well as the combined graph showing income, expenses, and profit for each properties. Further down, there's a breakdown of income by category and additional breakdown for expenses. Finally, the tab also includes a cash flow section to provide a comprehensive view of your financial situation. So as you can see here, this tab is very similar to all the other dashboards and works basically the same way. However, you can compare properties together. So now let's take a look at the maintenance tab. This tab is designed to help you track all maintenance and repair tasks for your property. It's highly flexible with minimal automation, giving you the freedom to track exactly what you need. Starting by using the drop-down menu to select the property, if the maintenance task applies to the entire building, for example, you need to redo the roof, you can check the checkbox. If you don't tick the box, use the drop-down menu to select the specific unit. Next, enter the date where the issue was reported and provide a description of the problem. You can assign a priority level to the task and also categorize it if desired. If applicable, assign a contractor to handle the repair. You can also enter both the estimated and actual costs for the repair and use the drop-down menu to update the payment status. Once the repair is completed, you can note the completion date. Finally, there's a space to add any additional notes or details related to this task. This tab provides all the information you need to manage your maintenance efficiently. A small reminder, this tab is also not protected so that you can filter all the information, so be very careful when you enter your data. So that's it. I hope this tutorial helps you easily set up your spreadsheet. Don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions or concerns. Follow Priori Digital Studio on YouTube for sneak peeks on our new templates.